Well, as I mentioned earlier, my special guests today are Ryan and KRISTA Knapp. Ryan and Krista, how are you guys today?
Hi, good.
Hi.
I'm really glad you guys were able to join us today. I did give you guys some information and promos in the introduction, but I want to remind people that you guys are total business entrepreneurs and the owners of the Hangar Storage Units out there in the fabulous cosmopolitan town of Littlefield, Arizona.
Yeah.
I drove by there the other day on the way down to Vegas. It was like, "Whoop, there it went."
Yep. You're in and out very quickly.
But I did see your storage units out there, and they were absolutely gorgeous. I love the red colors. Everything's very, very professional looking. So,
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks.
that.
You got to
so
drive a little way to find us, but once you find us, we're there. We've got a lot
yeah.
of space.
Well, I want to mention that because we have a lot of people listening in southern Utah and the northern parts of Nevada. So in southern Utah, around St. George, which is where I know you guys are from, it's only about a 20-minute drive from St. George. It was
Yeah.
delightful.
It is. It's quick.
I've spent 30 minutes driving to Hurricane. So
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
there's,
A lot of our competitors are placed in their facilities are in Hurricane, which we're hoping that people can look on a map and realize that
We're
we're
closer.
just as close, maybe a little closer, depending on where you live in St. George. Little Valley and like the Sun
yeah,
River, all the retirement area, the 50 plus desert
yeah,
color. We're actually
yeah,
a little bit closer than some of our competitors in Hurricane. So
yeah. And also, you guys it was like 12 miles from Mesquite, Nevada. So
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's,
Yeah, Mesquite, we're hoping Mesquite will bring us Mesquite should be a pretty big market for us.
yeah.
So,
So your target markets basically are southern Utah, St. George, Utah, and also Mesquite,
sure.
Arizona. I
Yeah.
That's
think,
right.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
And once again, if you're driving through north or south and going through Littlefield, look off to your right or left and see the hangar storage. They have a nice unit out there. So, guys, before we get going to this, tell me a little bit about you, your personal, um, how you guys met. And I know you've owned some other businesses prior to this, so tell me a little bit of background story about you and the other businesses that you've owned.
Take it.
Where we met? Do we start? We won't go that far back?
Don't go for
We
it.
Back in
we've been married. Okay,
1972.
real quick. We've been married 24 years just
Wow.
last June 9th. We've been married 24 years. We've got three kids, and one grandbaby and two dogs.
I think that's right. I don't have a
Love
lot
being
of,
grandparents. Grandparents is way better than being a parent.
yes, I understand. I don't get to have a lot of married entrepreneurs on the show. So that's why I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that you guys are married, you're in business, and things sound like they're working great. You got what, three kids and how many
Yeah.
We do.
grandkids?
Yep.
How many grandkids?
One.
One grandbaby.
One
Yeah.
grandbaby.
2 years
Well,
old. Yeah.
congratulations on that.
Thank
Uh,
Yep.
you.
as a grandparent myself, I can tell you that they're way more fun.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
they're just as much fun, but you get to hand them back.
I get to give them.
Give them back and go sleep in your own bed.
Yeah. Can we go ride go-karts at Grandpa's house? Oh, absolutely. See you
Absolutely.
guys later.
Yeah, you got it. You got
So,
it.
tell me, I know this is not the first business that you've owned. Tell me about how you got started in business. Kind of give me the genealogy roundup. What led you here to be the owners in the
Well,
hangar storage. There we
the
go.
hang storage actually came about. This was Krista's idea, storage units. Early on in our marriage, now before we get too deep into this, I've got to throw my disclaimer out there that I being on a podcast to give advice about business is not what I feel confident doing. I'm a high school graduate that worked my butt off, I guess. Hard work is my biggest piece of advice, right? Um,
So I
but
guess I guess you and Elon Musk are in good company then. So you're
well, thank
fine.
you for that comparison.
My pleasure.
Um, no, I started out, my very first business, I learned how to install flooring, like carpet and tile, and I had a flooring business. That business we kind of took a little as far as we could. We had crews and had employees and had that flooring business in Utah. And then we wanted to pursue construction in Southern California. This was like 2005-ish.
Oh, okay.
That's when we moved to California. So we kind of just handed that business over to a friend and kind of walked away from it to move to California to start a construction company. And that was, if you remember, we got to California in 2000, middle of 2005. By the time we acquired some land and some lots to get some homes building, 2007 and 2008 were just right around the corner, and we all know what happened then. So our move to California to start a construction business, we made a little bit of money, and then it kind of backfired big time in our face, and we were kind of on our
Yeah.
heels making this what
Where
to
in
do.
California did you start your business?
We lived in Palmdale, and I know I heard you said you were lived in Victorville for a little while, so you know the area a
Well,
little
I affectionately call it Victimville, but yes, in fact,
bit. We
there
I
is
know
a,
understand that.
and we affectionately call Palmdale Pompton, right?
yeah, I
And I think
totally
it's
get
only
it.
getting rougher. But that's where we resided.
Okay.
And the original plan was to go there and build homes. My dad was a builder for quite a while. He kind of taught me a lot. My one of my brothers is a builder. So we moved to California to build homes. And I mean, we got started and made a little bit of money, but then very quickly that '08 housing crash hit us. And so we
Yeah,
were kind of backpedaling, trying to figure out what to do. I actually was like, I jumped into nursing school, was applying for the sheriff's department. I was desperate. I had two kids and a wife, and construction was dead in the water. But so in the midst of that stress, we put penny saver ads out, and we're doing what we could to just gain little construction jobs here and there because housing was gone.
yeah.
Um, and it's a crazy story, but a penny saver ad, a $40 penny saver ad. This was back in '05 when you actually still put little written ads this
Sure.
big in a local newspaper. And
Yeah.
um, I got a call for a patio cover, and then that call led to doing some commercial work in apartment buildings, and it gave us a foot in the door to be able to bid on some larger commercial construction projects. And we bid on one, and I came home and told Krista, I said, we can't fail at this. This has got to go. And so um, we found ourselves, we had this one job to do. It was bigger than what I even knew how to do, but jumped in and hired 20 or 30 guys like that week to get this job done. And
It
Wow.
was
put
overwhelming.
it was like putting stuff on credit cards and
Yeah,
making it happen.
it was overwhelming.
And I mean, I was confident in construction, but I mean, we had to extend ourselves a little bit to make that happen. But we did
Yeah.
it. We pulled the job off, and we had 90 days to complete that job. We finished it in 28 days. The 28th day, I walked executives through that project, and this was a large apartment complex in the Miracle Mile area
Sure.
in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Um, and we redid all the common areas, all the hallways, paint and some crown mold and stuff. Walked them through it, and they were impressed. And they said, "Well, what else do you do?" And I said, "Oh, what don't we do? And
What
I
do you
had my
need?
hands in my back pockets, going, I don't know, but we can do it all. We do it all.
Yeah.
But and fake it till you make it a bit, but we kept getting construction jobs and get putting on bid lists for these bigger jobs, and ended up growing what ended up being a really good business in Southern California, doing what they call unit turns. We remodeled
Yeah.
large apartment complexes in Southern California. Um,
So
and that business we had through basically through COVID. COVID kind of, and some
oh
of the
yeah.
California. Uh, go
Cool.
ahead.
No, I was gonna point out something too. I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are just starting out, some business guys that are just starting out,
Uh-huh.
guys and gals, and they all think, well, I can't start my own business because I don't have enough money and I don't have a bank account with $300,000 in it. And it's like, and I don't have this and I don't have that and blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. And they always seem to come up with excuses as to why they can't do something. What I love about you guys is I like your your we can do it attitude. And I like the fact that you started out with a $40 penny saver ad.
Yeah.
And number one, you did a really good job, which then prompted the person who hired you for that job to give you more referrals, which grew into a whole big business where you hired 30 people. You were
Mhm.
not prepared to do that, but you did. And in order to make it happen, you went out on a limb and you maxed out your credit cards and you did whatever you needed to do to make it happen. And that's kind of what it takes when you're getting going and getting started and you want to get out of
Sometimes
the,
it does.
yeah, you're tired of being
I
a,
don't know how much wisdom is in all of that, you know. I mean, debt and everything, but
I
that's
did
what
the
it
same
takes
thing.
sometimes, you know.
I did the
Yeah,
same thing. I started my
yeah,
first business on credit cards, and my wife goes, "We don't have any money, but we have this plastic." So
yeah,
that's what we
yeah,
used, and we self-funded the whole thing with credit cards, and we made some money and paid them all back.
yeah.
And guys, if you're listening, don't be afraid to, if you believe in yourself, you've got a positive mindset and a can-do attitude, and you're passionate about what you do. Don't be afraid to just take the leap and get out there and do it. If you got to use your credit cards, that's why God invented credit cards, so you can start your own business. So
There
that's
you go.
great. So
Yeah.
after that construction business, how did all that morph into your storage business now?
Well, early, like I previously I said, storage units were Krista's idea.
Yeah,
As we were, we were young kids and considered ourselves fairly ambitious and not afraid to go into debt to try and make a business work.
yeah.
But in just with that mindset, Krista had read a book. Do you remember
I
the book
wish I
you read?
remembered the title of this book, but I do not. I do not. But I read a book and it just talked about people who own storage units are lead a comfortable life. And I was like, okay, well, someday then that's what we need to do. If that's what it is, and we love
Hmm.
spending time together, we love to recreate together. And so for us to achieve the lifestyle that we wanted to have, that seemed like a good path.
It got put on the list. The way it was proposed to me was she finished reading this book and she came to me and she said, "Hey, honey, it sounds like all rich people have storage units. I think we need to put that on our list." So that's kind of how it got put on our radar. It's we've always owned it, in the process after our construction company became fairly successful and gave
Yeah,
us means to kind of branch out and purchase other businesses or purchase other real estate. We owned several rental properties and
yeah,
things like that. And so storage was just one of them that was kind of on the back burner, but definitely on the radar and on our list of like possibilities of things to do someday in our life. And uh, earlier I started saying COVID kind of put a little bit of a damper on our construction company. The industry we're in was apartment buildings,
oh, okay.
and COVID and some of the things that took place made all of our contracts like freeze overnight. And so it kind of went from being 2019 was a record year to 2020, we lost money in that construction company. So
Ooh,
we kind of
wow.
quickly had to go, do we want to rebuild this construction company? Where do we want to go? And we had purchased the land that the hangar now sits on. We had
Yeah,
purchased it a few years prior to COVID. Krista actually battled cancer. We were kind of gearing up to do something with that land right when she got sick, and so kind of backburn everything kind of got put off for a few years, and then 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Two
after she
years ago.
kind of beat cancer and we were kind of back into life again, that's when we decided, hey, let's do something with that land, and we considered a few different things like shop space, maybe some industrial shop condos up
yeah,
front and some storage. But the more we researched, we thought that it's like we said, it's in Littlefield, Arizona. It's a little bit rural. We kind of felt like the best option was storage. And after doing a lot of research, rural storage facilities are actually
They do really
kind of a
well.
niche. You can't buy expensive real estate and build big, massive storage companies on it and have a great return.
yeah,
That's why you see a lot of these weird, you're driving down I-15 and there's these weird storage facilities off in the middle of off in the middle of nowhere, and you think, who in the world uses these? But after doing a lot of research, that's kind of why.
I think that's a great it's a great idea. I know my wife and I, we've been observing that for a number of years, and she keeps going, I see these storage units popping up all over the place. Maybe we should take a look at investing in a storage unit. And go, oh yeah, we should do that. And then it's like, oh, look, something shiny is over there. And then we forget
Yeah.
about it.
Like when you get a new car, all of a sudden you realize, oh, we're not the only ones that have this car.
Oh,
Once you own storage units, you notice
You
all
notice
the
all of
little
them.
obscure storage facilities out in no man's land as you're driving through the tiniest little towns.
oh, you are absolutely right. I got Linda a new Honda CRV thing, a white one. Soon as we drove off the lot, it seemed like every other car we'd passed was a white
You thought you
Honda
were cool, huh?
CRV.
You thought you were real cool, and then you realize everybody's got it.
We are totally not cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one of these things. So I think that's a great story. And Krista, let me just chat with you for a second. So I understand my wife went through the same thing, and she's been cancer-free now for about 6 years. And so
Oh,
um,
Yeah.
congratulations to the
That's
both
so
of you.
so
Yeah.
I understand. I applaud you and your husband
Thank you.
for having the tenacity and the courage to do what you need to do. I know it's a tough journey, going on that journey and then becoming a successful entrepreneur and then starting a new business. That's quite a feat in and of itself. So I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. I surely appreciate that.
And you're welcome. And we might want to give Ryan a little credit too. Nah.
You don't give me any credit. I held her hand. That's about as good as I was.
I that's about what I did too. And so I completely understand. So you've got these storage units called the Hangar Storage Units out there in the delightful town of Littlefield, Arizona. Tell me a little bit about those units because I know those units are different than some of the other stuff I see around town and I see all over the place. You guys are geared more towards large stories like a RV, a big boat, cars, not these little 5x5 personal storage units, but I think you guys have carved out a unique selling point with larger units. Am I correct in that
Yeah.
presumption?
Yeah. As we kind of researched the market and did some analysis on what is available in both St. George and Mesquite,
Yeah,
the two areas that are probably the biggest areas that we serve. Um, if you go to any of our competitors' sites to rent a unit and you want a large unit, it's waiting lists across the board. It's very, very hard to find large units. And when I say large, we right now currently we have 15 by 40 foot and 15 by 50 foot units. So 600 and 750 square foot units.
wow.
Mate, you could pull a big rig in that 50-foot unit.
Yeah,
And they've all got 12-foot by 14-foot tall roll-up doors on them. So very accessible. The roadways were designed. We've got 60-foot wide roadways throughout the whole project. We actually sacrificed some rentable space to make the units easily accessed. A good friend of mine, my neighbor at the last home we lived in, he actually told me he rented one of these, a bigger unit like this here in town. I don't know where, but
yeah,
at a place in town. Went to take he had a fifth wheel trailer, went to back it in and canceled the same day that he rented the unit. He pulled away from the unit, just left the whole place and
yeah.
canceled his unit because he couldn't, it was too hard to get his unit in there. So that's the need that we saw in trying to decide, where our best return is going to be and what the biggest demand for storage would be. We
Mhm.
determined that larger units were the what was in short supply in St. George. And a
You,
lot of places don't, the return on larger square foot units is a lot less. You don't, as an investment, if you have a whole bunch of little 10 by 10 or 5 by 5 units and you can rent them for $50, the
yeah.
math is a lot better, a lot bigger return. And so I think a lot of places they just don't do this.
I think that's one of the things that gives you your unique selling point, at least in these two local markets in southern Utah. And Nevada, and you mentioned one of my hot button keywords, and that was the word easy, hence the name of the show, make it easy for people to give you money. One of the ways that I think that you totally fulfilled that promise and principle is that you made it easy for people to take their big trucks and big RVs to go in, drive in, turn around, and park and do what they need to do because the other competitor didn't make it easy for the guy to even pull in. The parking places were too small. The road, the driveway was too small. I think you totally hit the nail on the head there by making it easy. But one of the ways they can make it easy to give you money is that, hey, it's easy to drive into our place.
Maneuverability. Yeah.
Maneuverability, turn that giant boat or that big RV rig around and
We're
take.
right off I-15. You get off an exit, you don't have to drive through town. There's not a single stoplight between us and the I-15. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we were talking earlier off air, and I was telling you about my son-in-law who lives down in Laguna. He had this giant RV bus thing, and I don't know if you're familiar with Laguna Beach and Dana Point, that area, but you really don't find a lot of places to park on the street with your
No.
giant
Yeah.
RV thing. And he one of the ways that the only way he could save money was to park and get a parking ticket because it was cheaper to pay the parking ticket than it was to get
Wow.
into a place where he could
Yeah.
put the RV. So finally, they opened up this new place in Dana Point. It was kind of off the freeway, and he was able to get his giant RV bus in there. That place was filled up within 2 weeks. You couldn't even, they were gone. You couldn't even rent anything. So I think you really played a smart game here and are catering to the niche market of large storage units to capture the people that have boats and RVs and trucks and things like that, that they need to store those things. And those types of units have limited availability. And generally they're like way expensive, aren't they? Not with you guys, but don't the other companies charge a premium for those types of things?
Yeah, I think we priced ourselves pretty well compared to in town in St. George. Yeah, we're close to half the price. We're maybe 60% of what a lot of the competition is for the same size units.
Wow. So you make it easy for them to get in, get out, give them exactly what they need, and are able to provide them with that service for a less price that saves them money. Oh my gosh, he's doing everything right.
That's the goal.
I think that's pretty amazing. So, how long have you guys been in the storage business now?
New.
We've been building this project for about 2 years.
Really?
From zone, I mean, with rezoning and all the
Yeah.
red tape to through construction. Our first phase is almost complete, but we are now open with 3 buildings. We've got both 40 and 50-foot units available, but we just opened 4 weeks ago.
We're
Just
new.
we're in our 5th week of
We're
grand
new.
opening.
That's why I love this. Guys, here we've got some brand new entrepreneurs, been in business for 4 weeks,
That's
and
right.
they're already crushing it. I mean, look at this. Taking business, the only really good way to grow your business is you've got to take market share from your competition. And I think that's what you guys are poised to do. You've got bigger units, you're fulfilling a need, your prices are like half of what the other guys are, and at least you've got availability, which I think is great. I think you've hit on the success model to crush the market and take market share from your competition. Let's hope they don't find out for a while.
Yeah.
Probably they're going to start the people, they're going to start losing customers and they're going to ask people, so how come you guys are leaving us? Well, we're going down to the Hangar Storage in Littlefield,
Right.
Arizona. They're going to save me
Well,
200
one
bucks
thing
a
that
month.
they'll struggle with is they don't have room for expansion. We're in phase one, so we have room to grow and to add more buildings and more units as these fill up, where in town and in Hurricane, you're landlocked.
Yeah.
So
And
Everybody knows how expensive land is now
yeah,
in St. George. I mean, it's even when we bought this land, it was we searched in St. George for some land that was zoned for storage. And that's another thing is towns hate storage units. Like
yeah.
to get zoning for storage units is difficult in any town, really. Um, but I lost my train of thought.
That's
Just
okay.
the landlocked and being able to
Oh,
grow and
yeah, we've got 76 units in phase one, but we've got total space for 318 units of these giant units. So
Aren't you guys including also some open parking space if somebody wants to
we
come in
are.
and just
yeah,
park their
yeah,
big rig there? Is that
Yes.
yeah,
ready
that's
to go, or are we still a ways away on that?
we're a couple months away. Once phase one is complete and that roadway gets done, that roadway needs to be done to access that parcel the open space will be on. So
Yeah.
it'll be a few weeks away. A couple months
Okay.
probably, actually.
So in the next 48 seconds, tell me what are some of the obstacles you guys had to overcome in order to get this storage place up and running? Was it zoning, other than financial stuff?
Yeah.
What was the tough
Yeah,
thing?
zoning was difficult, but where it is Littlefield is a little bit rural area.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of resistance there. Uh,
Zoning time, setting up meetings, ensuring that people show up, which is out of your control, and just really
yeah.
staying on top of people.
I
Yeah.
would say
Oh,
right now the biggest thing is marketing because we're in Littlefield. I mean, we've got I-15 frontage, so there's a lot of visual traffic that passes by,
yeah.
but we needed to hire Michael to get hiring the right people to get seen online is probably our biggest obstacle, I would say at this point.
And I know a guy who can help you do that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, what is your website? Where can people find you online? Because I got to tell you guys, one of the things I like about their business is that you don't have to drive in there to buy anything or to get set up. You can literally rent your storage unit online. Just go to the website. And
Yeah.
so the website is what? The hangarstorage.units.com. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep, the
Yes.
hangarstorageinunits.com. You can rent right online or you can call us 435-533-3336 is the phone number. We're happy to set you up ourselves, but you can do it all online. You don't have to speak to us if you don't want to.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You've captured
Easy,
that
right?
one guy. You're making it easy for people to give you money. So literally they can just go online. Go to your
They can do
website.
it all themselves.
I know there's a
Sign
tab
up,
on your website.
24/7 access. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a
Rent it.
fellow introvert, I see those people.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys are great. I'm sure a lot of our business entrepreneurs have learned a lot. Stick with it. Make it easy for people to give you money. What a novel concept. Thank you, Ryan and KRISTA Knapp, the owners of the Hangar Storage Units in Littlefield, Arizona. My name is Michael Mullenhauer. I'm with One to One Network. We're an advertising agency and marketing company and podcast production company in Southern Utah, St. George, Utah, and also Laguna Beach, California. In fact, Ryan, I understand we're just down the road from each other, right? I'm in Desert Color. You're down by the
Yeah,
airport.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Real close.
If you guys have any questions, you'd like to have more information, be sure to email me at michael@onetooonetwork.com. I'll see you guys again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.